Here's the exact text you provided, written without any changes. Number 9. The Darwin's tubercle. Imagine a little pointy bit on the top of your ear. Now imagine it's been there for as long as you can remember, a little cartilaginous nub that you've probably never noticed. That's the Darwin's tubercle, and it's a tiny, insignificant lump that is, for all intents and purposes, a fossil hanging out on the side of your head. Not everyone has one. Only about 10% of the global population, give or take. But for those who do, it's a quirky little reminder that your ancestors were, well, a little more. Pointy. The current scientific theory is that this little nubbin is the vestige of a joint that allowed the upper part of the ear to swivel and fold. Why would your ear need to swivel? So you could hear predators sneaking up behind you, obviously. Back when your ancestors were living in caves and constantly worried about being some saber-toothed cat's afternoon snack, having a swivel ear was a fantastic survival mechanism. Nowadays, we have Google alerts for incoming danger, so the need for an ear-swiveling joint is, shall we say, a bit redundant. As a result, this little piece of your ear is gradually being phased out of the human design, like a software update that fixes a bug nobody noticed. It's just quietly waiting for natural selection to finally say, you know what, we're good on that front. You can go now. Number 8. The palmaris longus. Let's play a little game. Hold your hand out flat, palm up. Now, touch your thumb to your pinky finger. See that little tendon that pops up on your wrist? That's the palmaris longus. Congratulations, you've just found a muscle that a significant portion of the population doesn't even have. Around 15% of people are born without this one, and you'll find it's more common in some ethnic groups than others. This little guy is what's known as a vestigial muscle, which means it's a leftover from our primate ancestors. It was super useful for climbing trees and moving through the canopy, giving us a powerful grip that a modern human just doesn't need anymore. In fact, if you're a tree climber, it might even be a good idea to have it. But for the rest of us, it's just a piece of biological baggage. Doctors don't even think twice about removing it during surgery if they need a tendon graft somewhere else in the body, because, let's face it, it doesn't really do anything. Your grip strength won't change one bit, and you'll still be able to text with a fervor that would make a gorilla weep. The palmaris longus is basically the appendix of your arm, except instead of a painful hospital visit, its eventual disappearance will be a quiet, unceremonious affair. Number 7. The vomeronasal organ. Have you ever wondered if you could smell someone's emotions? Well, your ancestors could, sort of. Tucked away inside your nose, you have a tiny, mostly inactive organ called the vomeronasal organ, or VNO. In a lot of animals, especially reptiles and some mammals, this is the primary way they detect pheromones, those invisible chemical signals that tell them everything from who's ready to mate to who's an invading enemy. It's their sixth sense, their secret social network. For humans, the VNO is, at best, a biological ghost town. While it's present in most human fetuses, it often regresses before birth and becomes, for all intents and purposes, useless. Some scientists argue that we still have some form of chemical communication, and that our VNO is just a little shy, but for the most part, it's a relic. It's like having a fax machine in your office in the age of email. It's technically there, but it's not really doing much of the heavy lifting. Our sense of smell is pretty advanced in its own right, and our communication is a whole lot more complex than, hey, I smell your fear. So the VNO is just kind of chilling in the back of your nose, waiting for the day it finally gets the memo that the pheromone party is over. Number 6. The erector pili. You know that feeling when you get cold or you're watching a horror movie and you get a sudden shiver and all the hair on your arms stands on end? That's called goosebumps, and it's brought to you by the erector pili muscles. These are tiny, involuntary muscles attached to each and every hair follicle on your body. When they contract, they pull on the hair, making it stand up straight. For our ancestors, this was a fantastic defense mechanism. When our hairy forebears were faced with a threat, their erector pili muscles would contract, causing their hair to stand on end. This made them look bigger and more intimidating, much like a cat puffing up its fur to scare off a dog. It also trapped a layer of air next to the skin, which acted as insulation against the cold. Today, our body hair is sparse at best, and we have the luxury of wearing a jacket. So when we get goosebumps, it's not to make us look more fearsome or to keep us warm. It's a completely useless reflex, a ghostly echo of a time when our ancestors were more concerned with looking tough than looking good in a tank top. These tiny muscles are working hard for a payoff that doesn't exist, like a worker bee meticulously polishing a doorknob that will never be used again. Here's the exact text you provided, written without any changes. Number 5. The coccyx. Have you ever wondered why you have a tiny triangular bone at the very bottom of your spine? It's called the coccyx, but you probably know it as your tailbone. And as the name implies, it's the shrunken, pathetic final remains of a tail. Yes, at one point in our evolutionary history, we had tails. They were essential for balance, allowing our primate ancestors to scamper through trees and navigate their world with the kind of agility that would make a parkour athlete weep. Over time, as we started walking upright and decided that trees were better for building houses than for living in, the tail became less and less necessary. Like a startup that pivoted into a completely new industry, our bodies began to downsize the old, obsolete features. What's left is this little nub of bone, a painful and utterly useless afterthought. It serves no real purpose in our day-to-day lives, other than to be the single most uncomfortable thing to land on if you slip on ice. It's a biological receipt for a purchase we made millions of years ago, and now it just sits there, a nagging reminder of our arboreal past. It's like keeping a VHS player in your living room in the hope that one day you'll suddenly need to watch an old movie on tape. The coccyx is an ancient fossil, and its days are numbered as our bodies slowly but surely continue to streamline the human blueprint. Number 4. Wisdom teeth. Wisdom teeth. The universally despised pain-in-the-jaw organs that show up late to the party and ruin everything. Your wisdom teeth are actually a vestige of a time when your jaw was a lot bigger and your diet was a lot tougher. Think about it. Our ancestors were chewing on uncooked meat, tough roots, and all sorts of raw fibrous foods that required a serious amount of grinding power. To handle this, they had a much longer jaw with room for a third set of molars to come in and replace the worn-out ones. Fast forward to today. We eat soft processed foods. We have forks and knives. Our jaws have shrunk dramatically over the millennia, but the genetic programming for those third molars is still there. So what you get is a bunch of useless teeth trying to shove their way into a mouth that has no room for them, causing pain, overcrowding, and a whole lot of expensive dental work. Your mouth is basically throwing a house party, and the wisdom teeth are the uninvited guests who show up with a full drum set and an obnoxious need to be the center of attention. They are the evolutionary equivalent of a printer that keeps trying to print a document from 1998, and our bodies just haven't learned to ignore the command yet. Number 3. The extrinsic ear muscles. Ever wondered why some people can wiggle their ears and you can't? It's not a parlor trick. It's a testament to the random, beautiful weirdness of human evolution. You, and everyone else on this planet, have a set of muscles designed specifically to move your ears around. In a world with predators and rustling leaves, the ability to swivel your ears independently was a crucial survival skill, allowing you to pinpoint the exact location of a sound without turning your whole head. It's the same reason a cat's ears swivel like little satellites, constantly on the lookout for a snack or a threat. For us, those muscles are still there, attached to the back of our ear, but for most people, they're just dormant. They're like a team of highly trained employees whose job has been made obsolete, so they just show up every day and do nothing. Our brains have moved on, deciding that moving our entire head is just as effective and way less effort. And so, for the 80% of the population who can't wiggle their ears, these muscles are a dusty old button on a remote control that nobody ever presses. A few lucky souls still retain some control, a biological ghost in the machine. But for the rest of us, the muscle is slowly withering away, a testament to the fact that we no longer need to be on high alert for saber-toothed tigers. Here's the exact text you provided, written without any changes. Number 2. The appendix. The appendix. The body part most famous for a single terrifying purpose, exploding. This little worm-like pouch attached to your large intestine has long been considered the poster child for vestigial organs. For centuries, scientists believed it was just a useless evolutionary leftover from a time when our ancestors needed to digest a lot of plant matter. It was thought to be a biological junk drawer, a ticking time bomb, just waiting to get infected and cause a life-threatening emergency. The prevailing wisdom was, if you don't need it, just get it taken out and save yourself the trouble. But in a plot twist worthy of a Hollywood movie, some recent research has suggested that the appendix might actually have a purpose. It might be a safe house for beneficial gut bacteria, a place where they can hide out and repopulate the digestive system after a nasty bout of illness. A biological panic room for good bacteria, if you will. But here's the thing. While that sounds nice, the appendix's potential function is so minimal, and its potential for disaster is so great, that we would still rather just remove it. We've found that you can live a perfectly normal life without one, and in fact, without the constant threat of it getting inflamed and ruining your week. It's an organ that offers a tiny theoretical benefit in exchange for a massive, very real risk, and evolution is slowly but surely deciding that the trade-off just isn't worth it. Number 1. The plica semilunaris. Look in the mirror, but don't look at your reflection. Look closely at the inner corner of one of your eyes. See that tiny pinkish-red fold of tissue? That's the plica semilunaris, and it's the last, ghostly remnant of what was once a very important feature, a third eyelid. You see, most vertebrates, from birds and reptiles to sharks, and even some mammals, have what's called a nictitating membrane, or a third eyelid. This transparent or translucent eyelid slides horizontally across the eye to protect it, keep it clean, and keep it moist without obscuring vision. For animals that spend a lot of time in the water or dusty environments, it's a brilliant piece of biological engineering. For humans, however, it's about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. We don't need to clean our eyes with a secondary eyelid, and our tears and primary eyelids do a perfectly good job of keeping things in order. So, what's left of our third eyelid is this useless little eye flap, this biological footnote that's just chilling out in the corner of your eye. It's like a vestigial windshield wiper that's been permanently parked, serving no purpose other than to remind us that our ancestors were once a lot more concerned with things like dust storms and underwater vision. It's the ultimate example of a body part that is so far past its expiration date that it's almost completely unnoticeable. It's a ghost of a feature, a tiny piece of ancient history silently waiting for the day that evolution finally gets around to erasing it for good.